Yep, it's
All
recording.
right, and here we go. So we've had some technical difficulties, but
Always. Always
uh,
technical difficulties.
so we're recording this. The intent was to go live, but we had some technical difficulties. So I am here with Matt. I asked Matt to come and share his story about CBD, how he got into it, and I really like Matt's story, and I wanted him to share it with you. Matt?
Thanks, Yvette. It's an honor and a pleasure to sit down with you this afternoon. I always like kicking it over Facebook with pretty faces. So thanks for having me on, and looking forward to talk together. I'm here to help any way I can, Yvette.
I appreciate that. So how did you get into the business, and maybe just a little bit about who you are, where you live, because we've actually never met in person. So
How are social media? Isn't it cool? Like connecting with so many different people and becoming friends with so many people, not only in the US, but across the world, collaborating in this movement. So, yeah, powerful stuff. And I'm coming to you, Yvette. I'm about an hour north of Pittsburgh, PA, born and raised. I've lived in my 20s. I lived abroad, did my thing, lived here, lived there, but came back to the town in which I was raised. It was 2013. I was living in Seoul, South Korea. My mom got sick. She was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. So I gave up my life in Seoul. I had a sweet teaching gig. I was starting an MEA program. That my life was there. When her diagnosis came, I decided to kind of give it all up, move back with my parents, was just kind of there to help as best I could. And that's, that's ultimately like going through those experiences with my family. I mean, prior to that, I didn't know any more than the next man about, the chemotherapy and taking care of the body and vaccines and alternative. I mean, but after going through those experiences with my family, I kind of had an epiphany. I had my eyes opened. I started researching and reading different authors and holistic healers, and it really imbibed me with this passion to um, be an advocate for some alternative approaches to health,
mhm.
maintenance and recovery. And from there, had a couple different jobs. I worked in the financial field for a while, but always on the side burner, I was involved with a couple different alternative health companies. Um, and then the latest one has been kind of the most life-changing for me has been the CBD movement with HempWorks and My Daily Choice. And I started with that, going on 2 years now. It was in May 2018. And it was our upline, Celie Smith. Shout out to
Mhm.
Celia if she's watching. She's down in Kansas City. And I connected with this woman again over Facebook. And I saw what she was doing in Kansas City, her hometown. And she was having these like live classes with auditoriums full of people and interviewing people and showing their feedback with CBD and all of these positive results. And then at the same time, concurrently, I had an aunt reach out down in Texas whose husband was suffering from dementia. So she was asking me, just as I was connecting with Celie, what I would recommend for somebody maybe with dementia, Alzheimer's, and CBD. And I knew CBD was kind of a powerful method for those conditions. So I wanted to get her the CBD. At the same time, I ordered some for myself, had myself and my dad using it. And there, just connected with a couple friends. They got the ball rolling, and the empire was born, and here we are today. So it's been since those two years. I was able to quit my full-time job, dedicate my life, kind of give as much effort as I can to this movement, and it's grown. It's grown quite thoroughly. So
Even since we've been in, it's exploded. We
yeah,
didn't actually try it for the first time until we were in California in June of 2018. So
okay.
that's when we first heard about it. So, and I mean, just one time, and it's like, oh my gosh, we have to know more about what this magic stuff is. So, yeah,
And I
that's really
think too, I
cool.
think like the more you learn about it, and initially think, okay, CBD, it's like essential oils or colloidal silver or anything that's good for the body. But the more you learn about the hemp cannabis movement,
Hmm.
the more you learn just how, I mean, there's so many different facets of our economy, of our culture, that the CBD movement is going to affect. I mean, we're not talking just medicinally, we're talking industrially, we're talking the boom to the American farmers growing it. We're talking as a replacement for fossil fuel type sort. I mean, cannabis has this huge presence in our culture and cultures since the beginning of time. And I think it's what we're witnessing now is part of this kind of rising consciousness, like this reconnection back to this plant that serves so many vital purposes, in our
Mm-hmm.
lives, in our culture, in our country. And so when you recognize that, you're like, okay, like this is big time. Like this isn't this like protein shakes this month or cleaning products the next month. And this is like changing the world kind of
Yep.
business we're talking about. And so I mean, I consider myself blessed, absolutely blessed to be a part of this.
I like reading all the old history, how they used hemp in the war and how they've used hemp so long throughout time. I find that very interesting. And
Yeah.
now it's, and there's so many misconceptions about marijuana versus CBD and um
Yeah. So like when you think like 5,000 years ago, give or take, was the first documented case of cannabis having curative benefits, right? All the way in ancient China. And then so they had an appreciation for it. Indian culture, Hindu culture really had an appreciation. In fact, that's where the word ganja comes from,
mhm,
Ganges River in India. So that kind of migrated when the Indian slaves were taken to the Caribbean and mixed with like the Caribbean culture. That's where that word ganja comes from. But then it just migrated west throughout the thousands of years. You have your biblical times with it being used throughout, the Middle East, Mesopotamia, the days of Jesus, where it was an anointing oil there and used quite
mhm.
prevalently. And so the spread then throughout Europe and finally the United States, where you're talking about the Revolution and the founding fathers, and they all grew hemp, and it was a huge source of revenue for the United States. But when you think about it, you have like 5,000 years of human history where they've had an appreciation and understood how significant this plant was, and then the past 120 years that it's really been stigmatized and villainized and
Yep.
forbidden, and so people kind of cling on to that without knowing that the other 4,990 years
Yep.
there was nothing to be afraid of, and people valued it, and so that really puts it in perspective for
Mhm.
me
It
at least.
does. And how many different types of people and ages can use the the oil and the
Right?
products, and it's crazy
Yeah, I mean,
how
I think that I don't think there's anything, how can I say this? I think it's a direct threat. It's the single biggest direct threat to the pharmaceutical complex for really three reasons. The first being how popular it's become, right? I mean, CBD is something now,
mhm,
cannabis is something that everybody is hearing about. We do these local events, community events, where we'll have people come up to us who would be the last people you'd ever expect to be curious about CBD, right? But now they're inquiring, oh, will help my joints. I haven't been sleeping well with
mhm,
it before me. And there's like this little 70-year-old, like old church woman that like probably back in, 30, 40, 50 years ago, she was telling her kids to stay away from it. But now they're open to it. It's because they're seeing it everywhere. It's all over the place. The second reason is how affordable it is, right?
mhm.
I mean, for a bottle of 500 milligrams CBD, I wish I had some, idiot,
Right
old
here.
imaginary. There you go. Yeah, $69 a month? I mean, $69 for a bottle of something that could be extremely impactful for someone's health, right? And then the third reason is what you touched on, how versatile it is. I mean, the same bottle that I use as an athlete, the same bottle that you use is the same bottle that maybe a child with certain, vaccine injuries or somebody with a
Mhm.
chronic, quote unquote, chronic condition would use. I mean, it's helping so many people. So yeah, it's got a lot of
Well,
momentum behind it.
the three of us in our house use it. I mean, myself, my husband, and my son. He's 20. Um, and we all use it for various things. And the medication part of it, I was on 6 medications when I started, and now I'm on none.
Wow, great
And
job.
that for me was like the biggest life changing. I mean, this has literally, I mean, I can honestly feel like it saved my life. I was down a path where doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. And I started taking the CBD oil, and medication started falling off. Doctors were asking, what the heck are you doing? Because whatever you're doing, keep it up.
Wow, that's great.
And now, yeah, twice a day, every day.
That's it. Yeah, just
So,
like brushing your teeth and drinking water. It's part of what we do, you know. It's and that's maybe a misconception that I know we've talked about this in the past, and I definitely encounter it with people not understanding that it's something you want to take consistently. You know, it's not
mhm,
something you take willy nilly whenever you think you need to take it. Consistently, like people are to drink water every day or try to get 7 8 hours of sleep every night. Like I take my CBD oil even if I wake up feeling fantastic, which I do most days. I take my CBD oil because it's preventative, right? Like it's to
mhm.
stay on top of it. And when people begin to learn that, you know, we have endocannabinoid systems, we have a system in our body that, but by taking it we supplement, and the more supplemented that system is, more overall and balanced our bodies are. I mean, you want to stay on top of that. So that's important.
Yep.
It's important for people to know that.
You had kind of touched on that you were an athlete. What do you talk about what you do? Because it's pretty amazing. I know, I think it's pretty amazing.
I um I have a man more of an obsession. I mean, call it an obsession. Um, No, I'm an ultra marathon runner. Okay, so what that means is any mileage over 26.2. So 26.2 miles is your standard marathon. So like the Boston Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, New York City Marathon. But ultra marathons tend to more often be on in the forest, like on dirt trails. So and those, I mean, the shortest distance of those are 50K. So I've done 50K races, 50-mile races, 100K race. And so my endeavor is to do one in every state. So
Well,
that's
when you come to Minnesota, you need
I'll
to.
have to. You'll have to keep me posted on some upcoming races, and because Minnesota is a race that I have not done yet, and I'm sure it would be beautiful. I know you guys have some beautiful forests up there.
Just don't come in the winter.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
No.
That might be a summer one because I'm terrified, Yvette, of like the one race I did in Indiana last summer. It was like 95 degrees that day. And that busted my ass. It was the hardest one. I mean, you could have seen me after the race, kind of stumbling into the hotel. I looked like death rolled over.
Oh, that's terrible.
It was, but no, and I use the CBD. I actually keep a bottle. I keep a bottle of the 750 milligram CBD in my water bag. So I keep a pack on my back as I run. And what I'll do is I'll take that. I'll take it before the race, and then during the race when I feel like I need it. Because really, what it does, I mean, when you're running, the way to think about long distance running, at least, is it's almost a form of meditation. Okay, and if you can shut your mind off, if you could just kind of sink into that run and find your zone, so to speak, without all that thinking, without, oh man, my back's starting to hurt, my ankle's kind of hurting, how much longer do I have to give? You could shut all that
Hmm.
nonsense off and just slip into the run. You can go for miles, so to speak. So the CBD really helps with that. And then, obviously physically too, like if I start to feel my muscles cramping as you get later into the race, it's a really big relief to stop, take some, rub some on my legs, rub some on my knees, my
You're
calf.
talking about the relief cream, not the oil, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could use the relief cream in that setting. I actually just use the tincture because you want less weight in your pack.
Oh, I suppose.
But no, like if it's somebody with muscle cream, if they're just sitting around their house, the relief cream would be. But you can use both, really. Um, but yeah, and then after the race, obviously, I use like the CBD bath bomb, so I'll just sit my ass down in the tub and just kind of soak for as long as I need to. But
I
it's
know.
about like muscle recovery. You know, the faster your muscles can recover, the better you can get back to the training and become a better athlete. So yeah, it's definitely a part of my crazy endeavor to run a marathon in every state.
That's cool. I can't wait to try the new bath bombs. They look
Mm,
amazing.
right?
So you didn't have any ailments for what brought you to CBD? No, like sleeping problems or any of those type of, ailments that most people would seek out CBD for. So that's kind of cool too that it was more for.
Yeah. So I mean, And I've encountered that thinking too that you're touching on, where people think that they need to have X, Y, or Z diagnosis, have a reason to use CBD. And I don't think, at least in my opinion, that could be further from the truth. You know, everybody has anxiety, especially during these crazy times, right? That we're
Right.
all facing with this COVID-19 madness going on out there. Everybody's stressed out, and from the feet up. Um, so everybody has issues with stress and anxiety. Everybody can sleep better. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody, there aren't too many people in this world that, lie down at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, read a book for 20 minutes, close their eyes, bam, they're out. They wake up 7 in the morning, ready to roll. I mean, that really doesn't exist for many Americans. I
Mhm.
think it's more like, oh, you wake up 9 times throughout the night, you're tossing and you're turning, and maybe collectively you get 4 hours and 15 minutes of
Can't fall
sleep.
asleep.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody can sleep better. Everybody's immune system can operate better. So people, this is just thinking that people like, oh, if they don't have an autoimmune diagnosis, or if they don't have an obesity issue, or if they don't have, high blood pressure, this, that, or the other, then they're healthy. Health is not like a black or white issue. It's not like, oh, you're either healthy or unhealthy. It's a big spectrum, and unfortunately in our country, I mean, most people are on the opposite end of the spectrum,
Mhm.
on the opposite side of healthy. So anything that you can add into your life, incorporate into your health regimen, that helps to make you more healthy, well, why not? Your health is your ultimate investment. And so that's how I take it. Like, yeah, I don't need it, so to speak, because I have a diagnosis that keeps it at bay, but it makes me a better version of me than I would be without it. So
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel too. I'm way less crabby during the days. And these times right now, the oil has been very helpful with everything, dealing with everything. And even my son and my husband is still working. So
good,
our immune systems are pretty healthy right now. So
good,
I keep it that way.
good.
What is your favorite product?
Oh,
If it's hard, I mean, I don't know that I could pick a favorite product,
no.
but I could easily have a couple of the top 3 or 5. There's so many to choose from, it's hard to pick.
It is. They keep adding to their product line. It gets harder and harder. But I'm old school kind of guy that I'm going straight 750 cinnamon for life. I mean, because that's the
Cinnamon, ooh,
foundation.
that's a spicy
Yeah,
one.
I like it spicy. Um, but no, that's, to me, that's the foundation, right? So taking the tincture is the foundation of your experience. That's what's going to give you ultimately the best results. Yeah, if you want to get creative and take the gummies and use the salves and make your face look all nice with the Renew cream and use the shampoo to get your hair right, that's all great, and I use all of them. But that tincture is for me, as the base, and I tell
Mhm.
people to really have the right experience with CBD, you have to take the tincture.
That's how we started, and it just kinda grew from there, and, now I think we all have a favorite different product, but definitely the oil is by
Yeah.
far my favorite, and we use the peppermint.
Oh,
We
your
haven't
peppermint
tried
base.
the new
Okay.
flavors, yeah. The cinnamon, it's a little bit too powerful for us,
Uh,
but
It reminds me of my grandma would always chew. Remember that, like, big red chewing gum?
yes.
She would always,
Yep.
my grandma would have, does your grandma have like under her little TV where she would watch the soap operas like during, like, over lunch every day? She'd have this like really small little TV with the antenna. And then underneath that was like her miscellaneous drawer, would be
Yep.
like paper clips and rubber bands and
Mhm.
notepads and pencils. But she'd always keep that big red gum stocked up in that miscellaneous drawer. And so the cinnamon, I kind of
Interesting.
love it. It makes me nostalgic. Takes me back to my grandma's. And that's what I love, when you learn like the science of like your olfactory system and how different smells and different tastes can take you
Yep.
back to memories that you're most fond about. So I don't think maybe that's part of the reason why I like the cinnamon so much too, is because it has that kind of connection to my childhood.
I like it in tea. I put it in my tea a
Oh,
lot.
I haven't tried that. I'll have to look
Or
around that.
yeah, or yogurt, it's really good in vanilla yogurt.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, you
So,
teaching me some things, Yvette.
um, So what are some of you've been in this for longer than I have. What are some of the misconceptions that you've come across that you consistently hear?
Oh, touched on a couple of them. I think it's what do we say? The first is that people think if they don't have a diagnosis, they don't need to take it. Another misconception is that they take it willy nilly as they think they need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, I have a headache. Let me take my CBD oil instead of let me take my CBD oil every day and significantly
Yep.
reduce my chances of ever having a headache. So it's more reactive. That's something I advocate against. Aside from that, people need to understand that the CBD industry is, I don't care what you sell and how often you sell it, it's not selling like CBD cannabis is. I mean, I think the cannabis movement is one of the fastest growing industries in our day. So what that means is it's essentially the Wild West. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no regulation. I could put canola oil in a bottle, put a marijuana leaf on the label and sell it back to you for $100. And, I just ripped you off.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's what's happening. So people think that they can go to their gas station. We literally have video stores, like Family Video, which I don't even know people rented videos anymore. I'm
We
like,
don't
people in
have video stores
2020,
here anymore.
yeah, like use Netflix. But in my town, people still rent videos. So it's like you could go to Family Video, rent a VHS of Spider-Man 7, and then pick up a bottle of CBD
Your
oil for
CBD. Oh.
$26.79. That I wouldn't touch with somebody else's fingers. And
Mm-mm.
so it's that thinking, right? They think, oh, CBD, it's all the same. I can get it wherever I get it, and without understanding that there's quality, there's the quality issues, the ingredients issues, the extraction process, the
Yep.
carrier oils that are used, all kind of different factors that people need to know about. So we spend a lot of time kind of trying to educate people on what the difference is between a HempWorks quality product versus what they're getting at their gas station or wherever the hell.
You touched on a very important part too that I get a lot of questions on. What's the difference? Why should I buy that when I can go and buy this for whatever, or the gas station has it for this? And it's like, well, but how do you know what's in the bottle?
Right.
How do you know what the ingredients are? Just like if you go to the grocery store and you buy a jar of something or a bottle of something, the more ingredients that are in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly why we decided on HempWorks, was because of the pure plant. When I researched, we had it down to 2 or 3 different ones, and that was the reason why we chose HempWorks, is because it was just the plant.
Yeah, that's all you need. I mean, for CBD, what do you need? You need a carrier oil, and you need the CBD extract. If you want to flavor it, okay, you can put your peppermint extract or cinnamon extract in there too, just to kind of add some variety to it. But you only need 2 ingredients essentially. So some of these companies, 10, 11, 12 different ingredients on the back of the bottle, what are they doing? They're just putting those in there as fillers.
Yep. And then
The
it
more other
dilutes.
stuff, yeah. So they're saving costs because the CBD is the expensive bit, and they're just filling it with other junk. And yeah, you're
Yep.
not going to notice when they did a news report. What was it, about a year ago, where they tested like a handful of different CBD oils out there on the market and found, like, just because it says 1,000 milligrams on the label doesn't mean, again, it's the Wild West. I could put whatever number I wanted to on that
Mm-hmm.
label, and if it's significantly less than what's advertised, you're not going to notice any changes with it because
Right.
you're not getting as much as you think that you are.
One of the changes I'm glad they made is putting the QR code on the bottle,
Right.
because you can actually, there's no question, it's all transparency. There's no question about what's in the oil. You don't have to call a company, you don't have to search and dig and hunt, and it's just right there.
Yeah, right there. All people just scan it, pulls it up on your phone. You see the certificate of analysis. That data is right there. And unfortunately, like, people don't even know to ask for that information.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's an important thing. You can go to your health food store and buy CBD oil. I could care less. But you should know to ask the clerk, okay, who's the manufacturer of the CBD? Let me see their certificate of analysis. Let me see how much THC versus CBD is in it. Are there heavy metals in it? Are there gas solvents in it?
Yep.
The consumers need to be aware that these questions should be asked, but
There's a lot of people that don't know that. I get that a lot. What is a what? A certificate of what? What is that? I didn't know I was supposed to ask for that.
That's why we do what we do, Yvette. We're here to educate people on that issue. And yeah,
When you came in, did you come in as a customer or did you come right in as an affiliate?
I came right in as an affiliate. So no, let
That's
me
cool.
get this. Let me, because my aunt wanted it. Yeah, I already had somebody that wanted to try it. It only cost me $20.
Right. Well, and
So
right now
yeah,
it's
it
even
wasn't like
free.
this. Yeah, I mean, it was a no-brainer to me. I mean, like I said, because I saw what Sealy was doing in Kansas City, I saw the momentum that she was generating. And I said, I could, hey, if she could do it, I could do it. Yeah, I could do
Hmm.
that. And then I recognized the trend. Like I said, I'm a big, like, trying to peer into the future and see what's coming. And I see cannabis having a huge presence in our country sooner before later. I mean, I believe that President Trump is going to remove the federal ban on marijuana. So that's coming.
Hmm.
So I said, this is definitely something I want to be involved with.
Right.
And now it's like I said, it's been a blessing collaborating with people like yourself and so many people in the empire that, and we're all of kind of like a like mind. You know, we're all trying to help people be healthier, help people, get off medications like you were successful doing. And just, and also like helping people find a little bit of economic relief too, financial relief. It's nice to have X extra dollars coming in every month to pay for whatever you need to pay for, maybe stacking in a savings plan or
Hmm.
taking the family on a nice vacation every year. That's a blessing for me too. And it motivates me just as much because I think, yeah, it's great helping people with their health, being healthier, but it's also nice to be able to help people financially with an
Yep.
opportunity like this. So that's,
Well,
for me,
when
it wasn't even it was like, yeah, sign me up, Sealy. Of course, do it.
we signed up as customers. We were customers for a long time before.
Yeah.
I just kind of happened upon Elaine sort of by accident and was we were customers for a while and then stuff started happening and changing and I talked to my husband and I talked about it and he's like, this stuff is amazing. Like people have to know about this stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
for $20, it was again, like you said, an absolute no-brainer for $20. So um, we signed up as affiliates and went to convention last year. And ever since then, we learned more about the products and more about the company and Jenna and Josh, and just have taken off from there. I mean, in the beginning, it was just, going to the movie. It was extra money just to go to a movie or extra money for a tank of gas. I mean, it's, just little things like that that you're helping somebody, but then there's also a little extra for something that you might not maybe get to do or that's something
Right.
extra special.
And I love the way because our experiences were different. You said you wanted that customer experience first. And then after you realized how much it was helping you and your family was when you decided to jump on board. And I think ultimately about like, that's what I think sickness or illness or poor health conditions in a way, that's like what they're intended to do is like reconnect us with maybe a more natural way of living or reconnect us with different products that we can use to become healthier. And then now you become an advocate for that. You use your own experiences with those things, share those experiences with other people. And they say, wow, well, I have the same conditions that Yvette once dealt with, and she had success using the CBD product. Maybe it can help me, right? And I think that's so powerful because you're. I believe everything's a blessing, and I
Hmm.
mean, some people kind of look at me crazily, like when I say, "How can my poor health be a blessing?" Which is like, okay, we'll use it. Like, make it a focus of yours, make it a goal of yours to heal, to get
Yep.
better, and then share those experiences with other people. And now you can kind of be a leader or an inspiration to other people. So
Yep,
it's
exactly. And
powerful.
that's when you talk about the like minds. That's exactly where, it's like all of a sudden there's all these people who have kind of the same, not the same paths in life, but the same sort of visions and goals. And I mean, my family is different from somebody else's family, but we're all struggling with some of the same things. So,
Well, yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, there's,
everybody wants to be all families, we have our differences, right? And that's great. But the same, at the end of the day, I think all families, everybody wants to be as healthy as they can be, wants a little bit more financial security for themselves. I don't know too many families that would turn down an extra $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to have a roof over their heads, bread on the table, and maybe the opportunity to take this sweet ass trip every year. So
Right.
that's what we're all in this together, and I call it the shift. Like, I think people's priorities are changing, and institutions that we've kind of relied on for so long are failing, and new ideas are coming to the surface, and cannabis is definitely in there with them. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, well, I don't know. I really appreciate the time that you've taken. And because if
Stop, Yvette. The
anybody,
pleasure's been mine. It's been my pleasure to kick it with you, and yeah, I look forward to doing this more. I'd ask, maybe we can ask if anybody stumbles upon this video that thinks maybe this information would be helpful to anyone they have in their circles. Definitely give it a share. Throw it out as a watch party. Yvette and I were just trying to get the word out, letting them know that CBD is it can be a fit for everyone. So, but yeah, Yvette, I thank you for the invitation.
yeah, thank you for joining me. This was enjoyable. Thank you, Matt.
Indeed. Have a great day.
You too, Matt. Bye.
Bye.